Let's move on with Superintendent's recommendations and reports. Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Begley. At this time, Mr. Hustle will be covering the items listed under Personnel Professional and Personnel Support.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Begley, members of the board, I have 3 items for your consideration this evening. Under Personnel Professional, number 1, resignations, letters A through B. Number 2, unpaid leave of absences, letters A through B. Number 3, employment, letters A through D. That concludes all the items I have for your consideration under Personnel Professional.
Thank you, Mr. Hustle. I'll entertain a motion to accept these recommendations.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Napier, Mr. Clark, any further discussion? Mrs. Lee, call the roll.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mrs. Birding Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mr. Begley, members of the board, I have 3 items for your consideration this evening under Personnel Support. Number 1, resignations, letters A through B. Number 2, employment, letters A through D. Number 3, terminations, letters A through B. That concludes all the items I have for your consideration under Personnel Support.
Thank you, Mr. Hustle. I'll entertain a motion to accept these recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Birding Miller and Mr. Clark. No further discussion. Mrs. Lee, call the rolls.
Mrs. Birding Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Abstain.
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.